In this time of growing division, it's more important than ever that our leaders be focused on uniting people around a common value. And for us, that value is, always will be, kindness. Today's guest has built a career around bringing people together in business and in the community as well. As Values in Action Board Chair Mike Gibbons works to promote the values that can bring us all together and mend some of our problems as well. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here. You know, it's been a year now since you came on board as the Values in Action Board Chair. Give me an update on the progress. How are things going?
I continue to be amazed by the effect that our teams have on the schools that we're working in. That's what originally got me interested in being involved in the organization. And we continue to build on the number of schools that we're going out and using a program that we find is tried and tested and results in a substantially better teaching environment and learning environment in each one of those schools.
We're making inroads in that and
Yes,
doing
we are.
way better. You've have a successful career as an investment banker. Some people may see that as opposite of kindness. Doing investment banking and kindness, they can be together. You can be both of those at the same time.
Certainly you can be a kind investment banker. I don't think hostility ever puts anybody in a better position. And, kindness is nowhere on the ideological spectrum. Everybody appreciates it. It's something that I just think if you treat people kindly, they're going to treat you kindly, and the whole relationship is better.
Where did you learn this? Where did you begin to understand this?
Well, I guess, I've always had respect for people that I found to be kind. But I never really thought about it and tried to, guide my life necessarily in that way. I think I kind of learned it by osmosis. And I noticed how things were that much better when you approach something with kindness. I really started to think about it. I have one of my sons received an award from Values in Action a number of years ago, and Stuart Brzezinski, who runs it, got my phone number. And when Stuart gets your phone number, he never forgets it.
Right.
And he continued to keep me a little bit involved and more involved. And then I began to see some of the startling results that we were achieving in some of the schools we were in. And I decided this is something where you could really have an impact on our general health as a state, as a city, as a country. And if you're kind, you receive kindness in response. And the kind of ideas that nobody can agree on don't even come up.
Let's talk a little bit about values in action. What do you see are the most important objectives as we go forward?
I truly believe that if we could execute on this plan in every school in this state, that our test scores would go through the moon. Because I was lucky enough to go to a school, to a high school where there was no question you were going to behave or you're going to be gone. Not every school has that option. Yeah, but when you start teaching kids that may be disruptive of how they're affecting other people, when they want to engage in violence and they hurt other people, that's if you can teach them that those people that they're hurting have parents and grandparents just like they do, they're going to be concerned. That empathy that has to be, you have to think about it.
There was an unkind event. It was more than that. It was a murderous event which took place. It's in the headlines, of course. You and I were chatting about it before we started the cameras rolling today. Of the United Healthcare's CEO was murdered in New York the other day. And the division that came out of that, the hate that came out of that with people going on social media, even applauding the murder because they may not have liked this company or the victim.
A lot of people, when they have differences, They think if you don't agree with them, you're expressing hate. We have to understand and learn that a disagreement on an opinion is not hate. And there's probably a good reason why that person has that opinion. And if we start with that and treat them kindly and listen to their argument and effectively argue without any sort of violent or overly expressive way, you're going to solve a lot of problems. And we aren't doing that enough.
How do you see Values in Action, where you are the board chair, in taking a role in healing the divide that we often see in our society? I
think if every citizen could go through this program, we'd go a long way toward healing that divide. So I think we need to continue to expand our efforts. We need to put people out there, and we're going to have to compensate them to teach them what we teach. We went into a school here in Cleveland and I think this is what really sold me on spending more time with Values in Action, where we listened to a principal. And you may have heard this man speak, but he was a principal in a high school here in Cleveland. And he started by saying, when I started, there were gangs vying for control of the school, and there were 4 murders within spitting distance of the school the year before, and every day there were fights in the hallways, and it wasn't a good learning environment. He said after 3 years of the Values in Action program in the school, and I won't get the numbers correct, or accurately, I don't think, we had no fights in the school. I can get that accurately. We had no fights in the school for the entire school year. We had a suspension rate that went down some 70%, and our graduation rate went up 35 or 40%. They changed the environment. They made people start treating each other with respect and with kindness. And that's what sold me on this program. But it cost, when you add up the time and the effort, it cost about $250,000 a year to staff that school. We need to raise enough money that we can staff more schools. And that's what we're trying to do.
And put that foundation.
Absolutely.
Where we started out talking about the foundation of kindness in one's life.
That's right. And for people that have graduated from high school and are in the community, some find themselves on the left, some find themselves on the right. But if they treat each other kindly, if there's some common ground, we're going to find it.
And there is always common ground.
There's always
no matter where you are politically on the spectrum.
That's right.
There is common ground.
That's right. Even if you look at the extremes of the ideological spectrum, you're still going to find probably 80 or 90% of agreement on just things generally.
Give me a final thought on this whole concept of kindness and why we're here.
We're in a country right now where there have been things like critical race theory, ESG on the corporate side, DEI is throughout all our corporations and there's huge disagreement on whether people even believe in them or they are effective. There's one thing that could change all that. We wouldn't need any of that if everybody just had kindness toward one another. And I think the Values in Action program does exactly that. And I plan on spending an awful lot of time and effort to make sure that is spread as far and wide as we can get it done.
Well, thank you, Mike Gibbons. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Here on the Kindland Report. We've been chatting with Mike Gibbons, who is the board chair of Values in Action, talking about kindness and how he learned kindness, how he continues to use that theme throughout all of his life, wherever he goes. I'm Leon Bibb. That's the Kindland Report. We'll see you next time.